Hi, I'm Tom, a wildlife and documentary cinematographer that's travelled the world filming some of the planet's most beautiful and elusive animals, like snow leopards, penguins, lions, cheetahs, and many, many more. On this channel, I'm going to be getting out into the wild filming incredible wildlife, beautiful scenes, and hopefully inspiring people to get out there themselves and enjoy Mother Nature in all of its glory. Starting off today with a film about the beauty of British wildlife in winter. Over the past couple of months, I've been out all over my local patch filming some of the most elusive and gorgeous animals that I can find, and also just capturing the essence of winter, the light, the atmosphere, and I really hope you enjoy this film. There's no better place to start a crisp winter's day than in the woods. In the spring and summer months, leaves shroud the trees and animals can be very hard to see. But in the winter, there is little cover for them to hide behind, making it a great time of year to look out for woodland species. Here in the UK, animals are very afraid of humans, having been persecuted for many years since medieval times. So moving through the forest, I have to be silent, like a ghost, to be able to see them. One species I love to track down at this time of year are the local fallow deer. They are extremely vigilant and always alert, so sneaking up on them is really difficult. Native to Asia and brought to the UK by humans over 1,000 years ago, fallow deer are now the most common and widespread deer in the country. And they are beautiful. By now, the winter rut has finished, and the intense competition between males has subsided. Energy that was being spent on breeding is now focused on surviving the winter. I often see them gathering in large herds at this time of year. More eyes mean better detection of potential threats, and it allows individuals to spend time grazing and feeding, and less time scanning their surroundings. Their winter coats are thicker and more insulating, helping them to cope with the lower temperatures and exposure to the elements. Food is their main focus during the winter months, getting ready to give birth to fawns in the spring. Following the deer around is one of the few insects that's active in the winter months, called the minotaur beetle. This male will have emerged in the autumn, but must undergo an intense feeding period in order to fully mature. As well as feeding on the dung himself, he'll be dragging it back to his nest, which is an underground tunnel that could be up to 1.5 meters deep. The males use the horns on their shell to defend their nest from other males, ensuring the safety of the next generation. There's something really peaceful and mindful about tracking fallow deer in the winter. Every step counts. I know that they're going to be listening to me, and I know that they'll be able to see me long before I can see them. So it's always a really mind-focusing and beautiful task. And up above the trees, another iconic winter species takes flight. After decades of conservation efforts, red kite populations in the UK are soaring. They are such a striking sight against a winter blue sky. Although breeding doesn't begin until spring, pair bonds often remain stable year round. And in the winter, I often see pairs flying together, maintaining territory, and reinforcing their connection. I love watching red kites at this time of year, because it's now that the pairs will strengthen their bonds and perform their incredible courtship display. At first, the kites will fly close together, forming a kind of chase, gathering speed and height until one of them will dramatically swoop down towards the other. Often mistaken for two kites fighting, this is actually a mating pair, strengthening their bond and preparing to raise chicks once again in the spring. Mating pairs will often return to the same territory year after year. Early breeding will give the chicks the best possible chance and start at life before the autumn. I feel so lucky to have these magnificent birds on my doorstep, and I never take them for granted when I'm out for a walk and I spot one overhead. After a cold, crisp night with the glistening stars overhead, I know tomorrow is going to be another stunning day. And in the morning, I'm met with a gorgeous sunrise. For me, watching the sunrise over our lakes and rivers is so special. It's so atmospheric, listening to the winter birds and the wildfowl and the sounds of the water, the light on the surface, and it's always just such a peaceful and tranquil time to be out with your camera. The light in the winter months here in the UK is absolutely gorgeous. Due to the sun being lower in the sky, the golden light lasts longer in the day, and there's no better place to enjoy this than on our waterways. Our lakes, rivers and ponds are transformed into glistening golden oases. During the winter months, our waterbirds are looking their very best. There's nothing like watching the winter sun light up the incredible red eye of a coot. The reason our birds look best at this time of year is because they're preparing for mating season. And it won't be long until our waterways are full of tiny chicks everywhere. This Egyptian goose is lit up by the beautiful winter light, whilst it has a preen in the morning sun. Our resident mallard populations are also looking absolutely phenomenal, and there are few better or more iconic winter sights than a mallard's emerald green plumage. And I love finding species like this which are really common and often overlooked, but actually exceptionally beautiful when you look at them up close. On lakes and rivers around the UK, tufted ducks gather in flocks. Many of these birds are winter visitors, joining resident populations from Northern Europe. They are diving ducks, which means they feed underwater rather than at the surface. I know you must be thinking that that looks like cold water to be diving into, and you'd be right. But dense plumage traps air for insulation, and short dives limit time spent underwater. Every dive represents a trade-off, the energy spent balanced by the food gained. Winter makes that balance especially important. Using their legs for propulsion, they search for mollusks, aquatic insects, and submerged plants. I often see them foraging in tight rafts on the water's surface. Safety in numbers is always a clever idea when there are predators around. Up above, a peregrine falcon scans the landscape. These birds are built for speed and precision. Their hunting strategy relies on observation, calculation, and sudden power. From altitude, they assess potential prey. And if conditions are good, they enter a stoop, folding their wings and accelerating dramatically as gravity pulls them downward. It's an explosive thing to watch, but also so precise. A failed attempt wastes vital energy and also puts the bird at risk. During the winter months, when prey gathers in big numbers on our waterways, this provides ideal hunting conditions for our local peregrines. An appearance from a peregrine can cause utter chaos, scaring all the birds in the vicinity into the skies. I absolutely love filming these birds. They are always bigger than I remember, and more powerful and faster, and they are just the most incredible example of evolution at its finest. They're also just utterly beautiful. They are such exquisite looking birds, and it's always an absolute thrill to be able to film one. Of course, the peregrine isn't the only bird of prey in these skies, and the local red kites take serious exception to this peregrine turning up. Kites will often dive bomb and mob other birds of prey that enter their airspace, with this particular kite making sure the peregrine moves off to pastures new. He'll have to come back and try again later. The birds on the water can breathe a sigh of relief, whilst others, like this very large cormorant, remain unfazed. As the sun begins to set, I just like to sit and watch the water transform. Over the course of minutes and hours, the water takes on the setting sun and turns into an ocean of gold. It's moments like this where you get time to reflect, time to sit and admire the beautiful natural world, and maybe just lose some of the stress that you've been carrying around. And I think that's the true beauty of being outside. And at dusk, we're in for one final treat for the day, as the jackdaws come in to roost. Individually spending the day in the surrounding areas, feeding and foraging, the birds come together at night in huge flocks to roost together in these trees. It's much safer to roost all together, as a single jackdaw in a tree would be a sitting duck for something like a tawny owl. And as the last jackdaws drop down into the roost, the final show for the day comes to an end. But one thing's for sure, who knows what might happen out here tomorrow? And if there's one thing you take from this film, I really hope it's a new appreciation for the winter.